and it just can't be helped. There's just so much going on. This is kind of like the lately news hour, right? The late news hour. Um, and that's what we're turning into because it just can't be helped. So much has happened on March 13th, and it's already March 14th, but and it is huge news. Again, huge breaking news. And so let me get through it with you. I just want to say thank you so much for staying up so late. And if you're watching later on today, um, we really appreciate it. And please share this news because we are getting more and more information in that our news, our posts, what we're doing for our son, Richard Halliday, has been helping other people, that has been passed forward, giving courage, the ability, the pathway in Juarez, Mexico, and other places to also file complaints and to stand up for their families, for justice, and for their cases at hand in even a narco state like Chihuahua. I mean, of course, Mexico is a narco state, but Chihuahua is really, really narco state. Um, so,
Yeah, that
um,
just can't be helped. There's just so.
so by forwarding the information, sharing the information, and if you speak Spanish, praise God. Thank you so much. God bless you for that because you're helping so many more people. So that everything that we're doing, like I said, when you're fighting for the truth and you're fighting for justice, I don't think you need to collude with anybody else. You don't need to conspire with anybody else. But what happens is it brings so many people together and empowers so many people. That is really, really good news that we're hearing, and we're going to talk about that tonight. So this is day 2051 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room right there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. He was a U.S. Army soldier, Richard Halliday, wanted to be CID, and he was number one in basic training in his cycle and number one in advanced individual training in his cycle. Richard clipped out of college math and German, 12 hours of college credits, and when he was 15 and one afternoon. He's just remarkable, was really remarkable. And and he was a black belt in karate and um, was just great with children. And yeah, so he stood for them. He stood for them because we know that Fort Bliss turned into the new Zorro Ranch, right? When Zorro Ranch was closed up in 2019 because of the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein, the traffickers, the cartel there, the Mormon faction cartel, shifted its operations from Zorro Ranch to Fort Bliss. They got taxpayers to pay for it with the emergency intake center, and they opened that up in March of 2021. Richard, they had a lot of trafficking before that. It was going um, through Zorro Ranch, and then they had all these other little camps, and of course, there's all kinds of shelters and orphanages and stuff. It's really weird that Erica Kirk had to go all the way over to Romania or to China to help people when it's right there in her backyard. It's just really weird. You know, I think that's a real strange, yeah. And let me tell you, Arizona is a mess. Is a mess. It tells you that since her family is so powerful there in Arizona, and it is, and reaching over into Texas too, the Abbas family. Um, you know, they're up to no good because what they leave in their wake tells you that what they're up to is no good, is absolutely no good. The worst type of crimes against children and women and families and men and everybody, taxpayers, everybody. What they leave in their wake is a total destruction. So that's why they have to go over to China to cause destruction. Maybe that's why they have to go to Romania to cause destruction. It really seems like that to me. So right now, TPUSA is off limits. For look, look there, it's up to no good. It's up to no good. And if they have this history of there's a saying in the Bible: you don't give pearls to the swine. You don't cast. You don't do that because it's going to be trampled underfoot. So you give your best to those that leave a wake of destruction. Um, I mean, my goodness, look at what happened to her husband. Look at what happened to her husband. And she kept the same security team. And she, within what, hours, or was it a day even, maybe a couple of days, she already forgives the perpetrator. I mean, that to me, that's destruction. That has nothing to do with Christianity. And that tells you, you know, something, that this Mormon faction, that with asymmetric warfare, just training individuals to be impersonators and stuff, there at Fort Huachuca. It just tells you something. It really does. And everything around our son's case at Fort Bliss and Fort Huachuca, Zorro Ranch, going all the way through Mexico. It is, it, you know, it, let's just say this: you get a clear picture of who's doing the destroying, who's doing the destroying. And so, if we have the clear picture, then President Trump really has the clear picture. And so we have, and I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself with Richard, that he was a whistleblower and was protecting these children, and they took his life right there on Fort Bliss in the arms room, and they renovated it at taxpayers' expense with no expense spared. And his body was stolen off of Fort Bliss and trafficked to Mexico to uh, these narco crematoriums, and all evidence indicates it's a specific one. It's called Plenitude Crematorium, and it's in the news. It's in the news. So we want to talk about all of that because the owners there live in Saus and Braus, my grandmother would say, Saus and Braus, in El Paso, and right next to Beto O'Rourke, and also working with their Argo Oil and Gas right there at the same address as Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, which operates for the benefit of El Paso Community Foundation. El Paso Community Foundation, right? And I would say that is really the hub of, well, I don't know if it's the hub. Maybe it is. I have to think about that. But it is this El Paso Mormon faction cartel that they're just up to no good, and they don't have the same values when it comes to um, the body, the human body. They're waiting for some planet or whatever, but for Christians, and they don't respect other people's and faith, because look at Look at the sacrilege that they did at the Plenitude Crematorium, over 400 bodies. And, and I want to talk about that a little bit too. And I'm just doing everything by memory. I don't have my notes, and I wish I had time to organize everything I want to say. But this 400 number, they say 386 or something like this, but our intelligence, which is very good, it's always right, is over 400. And I believe that that number is much bigger too. But over 400 bodies there stacked up, rotting, and filth and rat infested and everything like that. And they're saying, "Oh, okay, this week we've identified three more, and this week we've identified 10 more, and this week, you know, and they're doing this countdown, like countdown to Christmas, but they're, which is, and that's probably a bad example, but they do this countdown they want to get to 400, right? They want to count down to 400, and then they want to say, "Oh, see, we did it. We did it. Nothing to see here. We did it." Oh, it's don't look to see that these people were tortured. Don't look to see some of them were in uniform. Don't see that this was crimes against humanity on the level of like genocide. Let's, because they don't want you to see what they have, because they've been doing this for a long time. This was just 400 bodies at a time. What about all the research, all the investigation that needs to be done about really what the true number is, and what the true criminal activities were, and where is holding everyone accountable, including Mauro Campos's mother, because Maria Eugenia, she's absolutely um, uh, she was over the agency that had oversight of this Plenitude Crematorium, that allowed it to run without a license, without a permit, to become so stinky, so filthy, piled up, um, and flesh peddling, because the oven was working, y'all. We have uh, evidence, testimony that that oven was working. They started burning it that night when they were discovered. And they burned it and burned it and burned it all night long. That oven was working. What were they doing with these bodies, right? With these bodies, with our son's body? What were they doing? And of course, we know that this is all connected to La Diabla, with the organ harvesting, with these illegal C-sections, taking out babies out of young women after they target these young women in crisis pregnancies and everything, and taking organs out of them, and then having to dump these bodies. But then what were they doing with these bodies? And recycling them, saying that they're COVID victims or whatever, and getting cashing in on humanitarian aid. Were they selling them to Ukraine to be used to drain the fluid out of their body, to put make these dolls to put into their chest of the dead or whatever? And it's so horrible. Everything's so horrible, and I agree. But we've got to put this out on the table, because this is what the investigation needs to be. And these families that are crying out, they're just being used as pawns in this countdown, right? Oh yeah, you have to wait for identification, and this has been almost a year that they have been slowly counting down, trying to get the memory of people to fade, right? To distract them with other things, and to say nothing to see here, and to let these people that are like privileged, the Purchase Arleano Quran, that live next to Beto O'Rourke, that they can just keep doing what they're doing, you know, and Purchase is a big name, and the Ramirez is all. also a very big name. And all these, look, the number of funeral homes that are involved in all of this is also increasing without even a proper investigation in all of this. It is increasing. And so this is a game they're playing. And now Carlos Manuel Salas, he is, there's complaints filed against him because of his blocking of justice in this whole thing by the families um, uh, of the being victims, and they're not even viewing them as victims, but they're absolutely victims because Rafael Arliano Caron, one of the family members, the owners, one of the, because it's a family owned business, one of the owners, had advertisement like, oh, we are just so great. We're just, the same kind of language that you kind of hear from Erica Kirk, this very fake, benevolent kind of language that is fake. It is absolutely fake. Let me mess with you. Let me just destroy you. But I'm going to talk really sweet and nice and whatever. And this is the same thing with Rafael Arliano Caron. He was advertising, that he could give dignity to families that have lost their loved ones. And what did he do? Put their bodies in rat infested filth piled up like cordwood, piled up on top of you, and letting them rot. It's just, he is disgusting and he needs to be held accountable. Everyone, Rosa Maria Purchase Arliana Caron needs to be held accountable. Jose Luis Arliana Caron needs to be held accountable. And we need to know how many bodies, what they did with the bodies, where they were getting the body, everything that a forensic investigation would entail. That's what we need. And what do we have? Cover up, cover up, cover up. And so I think President Trump has had it. He has had it, but he has had it before he won this second election. Okay. He understands what is going on. That's why I'm wearing the hat, because there is um, this campaign, this smear campaign. But you have to understand, we're watching very, very, very closely, and we put out this scorecard for what he has been doing since he came into office this time, and including some of the things that he did in his first administration that was just a learning curve for him because of the mutinous activity within our governments, the mutinous activities within our government. It's not just the United States, it's not just Mexico. It's gosh, tell me one that's not mutinous. And so for him to come in and say, look, um, let's make America great again. And I think make America great again includes all the Americas, right? Includes all the Americas. So so he has absolutely went after the cartels. Absolutely. I mean, nonstop. And checkmate, 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 checkmate. And now, today, or the 13th, okay, because it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but he went after La Linea. Okay, La Linea is an arm of the Juarez cartel. I am so happy because I can't wait till he gets to um, uh, Osvaldo Barunda Rodriguez, right? I can't wait till he gets to him because he's absolutely part of the Juarez cartel. And and so, this is the La Linea is the part that really had something, has a lot to do with the tunnels that go from Mexico, from Juarez into El Paso, okay, that are underneath the schools, that are, all over the place. So, and they were discovered. I'm not making this up. And of course, even Mitch Snow, who identified individuals at Fort Huachuca in part of Charlie Kirk's case, he said that there were tunnels there as well. Okay, but we know that there are tunnels from Juarez to El Paso, and the LÍNEA were a big part of using those tunnels for the trafficking of all kinds, and they really breached our national security on both sides, not just Mexico, not just the United States. It breached national security on for both countries. And uh, you always hear the best neighbors, a good neighbor, they have a good fence, right? They have a good fence. So because you have to respect each other's space, right? You have to respect each other's space. And those tunnels were not respecting the sovereignty of Mexico or the United States. And so that caused a lot of problems. And we know that La Linea is part of the Juarez cartel, and the Juarez cartel, with the other cartels, made an alliance with the El Paso Mormon faction cartel. Okay, the philanthropists, and the others that are in the cartel with the philanthropists, and they made a deal, and the deal was for the visas. For the visas to enter, and like Carlos Manuel Salas, he has a visa, even though it's illegal for him as the prosecutor for the North Zone of Chihuahua to have residence in El Paso, Texas. He does. He does it illegally because, they just feel like they are above the law. And they're not. They're not. Okay? They might have gotten away with it, but they're not above the law. And they act like it, and they violate the law like they have that privilege, but they don't have the privilege. It's not written anywhere. So so he lives in the United States illegally. Registers his car. He has a Mercedes Class S, and he registered that just recently, just a few months ago. In Texas, he has a Texas driver's license, and this is all illegal for him as a prosecutor of Mexico. Okay, that's very clear. And where did he get these visas? Where did he get the protection? The protection to do this, right? That no one's calling him out on the living over there and having the driver's license and registering the vehicles. Where did he get the protection for them not to bother him? Well, he got it from the El Paso Mormon faction cartel because they are, philanthropists, and so they skew the law enforcement and the judicial system, the political system. They can buy people off, and we saw that with Jeffrey Epstein down at St. Thomas, the CBP. They were totally bought off by him, and they were like, "Oh, we love him." Yeah, because they bought him off. I mean, he bought them off. So yeah, this is uh, clearly violations, and clearly that gives you a very good indication why he is not giving justice to the family members of the Plenitude crematorium victims. So, so President Trump has this scorecard, and let me see if I bring this up. It's just amazing. I just posted it, and um, I hope that you look at it because it's just with the Sinaloa cartel, with El Chapo's and with El Mayo's. Well, he got El Chapo, and he got El Chapo's sons, and he got El Mayo, Zapata, and also the CJNG, including El Mencho, including La Diabla, Martha Mendez Aguilar, including Julio. Um, I Montero, These are really, there's so many that he got. I just put highlighted the really big ones, Los Zetas, the Gulf Cartel, and now he's on the Juarez Cartel, La Linea. And what comes after that? Because what did he do? He arrested five of them. They're going to be singing, of course, they're going to be singing. And you saw that um, with what happened with Cuba, which I'm going to address today too. Matter of fact, I'll do it right now. But I wanted to play this video before I get on to Cuba and really talk about Iran and what happened with El Mencho when El Mencho was checkmated, right? And they collected his logbooks and ledgers and everything. And here's President Trump, and let's hear what he has to say here. I think it's very important.
We're going to save America.
Let me
The
see if I can
Save
get this on.
America.
Oops, sorry.
How can they fight us? The Save America Act. And I've watched them. I watched Schumer, who's horrible. What a horrible politician. He is now a Palestinian officially. He is registered
I don't have
as
my
a
thing plugged in.
Palestinian. He's a proud.
Oh, goodness.
He's taken the biggest turn of any human being I've ever seen. He's
Let's
gone
listen
from
to it
totally
since I
pro
didn't hear it.
We're going to save America. The Save America. How can they fight us? The Save America Act. And I've watched them. I watched Schumer, who's horrible. What a horrible politician. He is now a Palestinian officially. He is registered as a Palestinian. He's a proud. He's taken the biggest turn of any human being I've ever seen. He's gone from totally pro-Israel to totally pro-Palestinian. He wants to protect the Iranian people that are quite nasty.
Okay, so that's uh really important because he is confirming what we have been saying, that the Palestinian, don't forget about the Palestinian arms dealer Nadal Baim, and uh, all of this, of course, all of this trafficking, right? um and uh, and his partnership that really gets connected to the Jeffrey Epstein pipeline. Really, I mean, it's jaw dropping, y'all. When we put it all together and give it to you, it's jaw dropping. They're so connected, and and his relationship with Iran. And of course, 5 days after the El Mencho raid, of course, El Mencho lost his life, but they got the ledgers, they got the logs, they got information. And 5 days later, they were in Iran because of just so much trafficking, infiltration, the weapons, the drugs, the humans. It is just, they are absolutely connected with this pipeline, with the Mexican cartels. And so this is not separate from his checklist. That's what I'm saying, his scorecard. Um, Iran is not separate from this scorecard. And if he could do it some other way, I don't know. I don't know. It's just crazy, but very clear to us that they are connected. And I want all focus to be on these cartels. And here he is. He is doing this whole um, what do you call it, war, this whole war on Iran, and seizing very strategic points, very strategic points. But at the same time, he's going after La Linea, and there's more stuff going on. I just can't even imagine all the things that he's dealing with. So, but anytime he goes after La Linea, Juarez cartel, we are very, very, I mean, any of the cartels, we are very, very happy because that is one step closer in this very violent and vicious negotiation for the repatriation of our son, Richard Halliday. So there was another uh,
que en correspondencia.
and God bless you if you speak Spanish, because um, here is the leader, the dictator, Canal of Cuba, and he's announcing capitulation to the United States. They're in talks right now. So let's listen.
Que en correspondencia con la política consistente que siempre ha presentado la Revolución Cubana, bajo la dirección del general de ejército como líder histórico de nuestra revolución y la mía, y colegiado con las principales instancias del partido, el gobierno y el Estado cubano, funcionarios cubanos sostuvieron recientemente conversaciones con representantes del gobierno de los Estados Unidos para buscar por la vía del diálogo la posible solución a las diferencias bilaterales que existen entre nuestras dos naciones. Estos intercambios han sido favorecidos por actores internacionales. Y aquí me quiero detener. Siempre que hemos estado en situaciones tensas en las relaciones con los Estados Unidos, aparecen esfuerzos por buscar canales de diálogo, por buscar conversaciones. No es la primera vez que Cuba entra en una conversación de este tipo. Yo creo que la más reciente, el ejemplo más reciente, fue la manera en que el general de ejército condujo las conversaciones con el presidente Obama en una etapa muy reciente, y todos sabemos los resultados que dieron esas conversaciones. Bueno, ahora también algún grupo de actores internacionales favorecieron el desarrollo de esos intercambios. ¿Cuáles son los propósitos que estamos siguiendo con estas conversaciones, con los propósitos que nos hemos planteado? Bueno, en primer lugar, determinar cuáles son los problemas bilaterales que necesitan solución.
Yeah, so when just to let me turn this off here so it's better sound. So Richard and our family, we were working down in Naples, Florida, before he joined the military. And of course, there's a lot of Cubans in Naples, Florida, in that area. And so, and Richard had some great friends that have been keeping up with all of this and wishing us all the best. And of course, I love Cuban food. You know, they have little Cuban restaurants down there and everything. And I'm just, just so happy for them because they've suffered so much. They have suffered so much. So, and we know through Seraldi, the attorney, the immigration attorney, right? The immigration attorney. And where did I put his picture? Yeah, there it is. Let me turn this on. So here's Seraldi right here, right? And they all kind of look alike, right? These guys, these pedos just look alike, let me tell you. Or I shouldn't say pedos, but predators. So I take that back. These are predators. So this Seraldi, right? He got caught in a sting with Cuban women, okay? Paying for, well, I guess paying for debt. These women that were trafficked, and he returned them to their captors, and they had been trafficked from Cuba. And so I'm bringing this in again because I think it's really important for people to understand that, and you can see it here in this map here from Cuba into the United States up to Fort Bliss, up to El Paso, right? Uh, very easy. Of course, here is Miami and here is Naples, Florida. And so, yeah, uh, Cuba is very, very close. And this is this route, this trafficking route up here, um, and bringing these women. The end of that is near, y'all. The end of this trafficking pipeline is near. President Trump has absolutely been pounding, 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 and checkmated these cartels, and I mean, just hit them hard. Now, will they reappear? It has given the people a chance to get their lives back, and for Cuba also. And yeah, I don't know. Um, the way things were going was just not an option anymore. Not an option. So, no. So many. I mean, they were eating humans. I mean, they were eating humans. It's just not an option to just um look the other way anymore, you know. Uh it's just so bad. So, okay. So the scorecard is so important, and um the other news too is these reports these reports that say that they're false reports, but I don't know anymore. I really don't know anymore. And what I'm talking about is the reports that Bibi Netanyahu has lost his life. Um, we know that people around him have lost their life. We know his house was struck. Something is very, very strange. Either he was very injured or something very strange. But Putin came out and confirmed this, and I don't know if how good of intel does the leader of Russia have? How good of intel does Putin have? This whole thing, that would be just huge, huge development. So we're keeping an eye on that, and I thank everyone for sending screenshots and that information. So, just, we broke a huge news with um, the CIA conducting operations in the United States, which is so illegal. Okay. So we broke that, and every day we're breaking huge stories that should be all over the news. Um, and and the news is happening so fast that we don't mean to make them less important. It's just that we have just breaking stories over and over again. And so I would really ask just for you to continue to share them, to get this information out. That's how you can help. That is huge, because we are a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And we know that our government agencies and institutions have been so compromised and are so mutinous that we have to do our part. We have to absolutely force it. Force it meaning drive them to report the truth and get justice. So that's our goal is um, the repatriation of our son's remains, and of course accountability. So thank you, everyone. Let me make sure that I can read through the comments. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Danielle, for coming on. Thank you so much for your prayers. Thank you so much, Laura, for putting this all in Spanish. This is such a big help for all of the victims' families there in Mexico. And my heart goes out to them. Thank you so much. And we are very, very busy behind the scenes, filing our complaints. And so that's um, very time consuming, and we are having a lot of success with that, and it's creating the need for other documents and stuff. So just keep that in mind that we are working that way as well. That will help these victims as well as us, because if we help others, it will help us as well, because Richard's remains, we believe, are at Plenitude Crematorium, and that is a key to getting accountability and to getting our son's remains. So that's really, really important developments there. That Carlos Manuel Salas is under a microscope now. He is under a microscope, and he needs to be, because he violated so many things. So thank you so much, everyone. God bless you, and I will be back, God willing, tomorrow. Bye bye.